Hello and welcome to HITC Sevens, and the emphasis today is on the sevens there, since I haven't actually done all that many sevens based videos lately. Just 2 of my last 12 videos have centred around the magic number in fact, and whilst I think the channel is better for that evolution, it's always good to go back to your roots every now and then. So when my colleague Matt Nash from the Boot Room suggested a 7 or an 11 of native Brazilians who represent other national teams, I decided to go with the former. There are some videos that I make on this channel which can be painstaking to research, taking me hours, days, and once even months to complete. This was not one of those videos. There must be more than 100 Brazilian-born footballers who have represented other national teams in my lifetime, and most likely a great many more than that. I suspect I could do an entire 7 for some countries on their own, so instead I decided to limit myself to just 1 player per nation, as Matt did, and then I'll reel off a few honourable mentions. So these are not the 7 best Brazilians to represent other national teams or the 7 most capped or anything like that. It's just a random 7 designed to have no repeat nations and slightly fewer of the obvious names like Diego Costa or Jorginho. Without further ado then, here are 7 random Brazilians who represent or represented other national teams. Mario Fernandes, Russia. Russia have had a few Brazilian-born internationals in recent years, including Lokomotiv Moscow goalkeeper Guilherme Marinato and Krasnodar striker Ari. The latter of those two, Ari, only won 2 caps for Russia in 2018, but that was still enough to prompt former Fulham forward Pavel Pogrebniak to claim that it was laughable for a black player to represent Russia. Presumably Pogrebniak was frustrated that Stanislav Cherchesov overlooked him following an incredible 1 goal in 29 games for Dynamo Moscow at the time. Anyhow, moving on from that bad racism, of Russia's 3 recent Brazilian-born internationals, Mario Fernandes has been the most impressive. The 29-year-old has actually been capped at senior international level by both Brazil and Russia, winning 1 cap for Brazil in 2014 and 24 caps for Russia to date since 2017. Russia was so keen to bring Fernandes into their squad that they called him up in 2016 when he'd only actually been in Russia for 4 years, despite the fact you have to have lived continuously in a country for 5 years to meet FIFA's eligibility criteria. Sure enough, 13 months on, Fernandes made his Russia debut in a 4-2 friendly win against South Korea. A tall, athletic right-back who is good on the ball, Fernandes has been playing in Russia since a 2012 transfer to CSKA Moscow. Born in the city of São Caetano do Sul in São Paulo state, Fernandes came through the youth ranks at Grêmio, where he made more than 50 appearances in his first 3 years as a professional. As Dani Alves winds down his playing days, Brazil may start to wonder whether they should have kept hold of Fernandes, although they do still have Danilo and Eder Militao, who is capable of deputising at right back. Elkason, China. As the Asian leagues have grown in prominence, from the Middle East to Japan, offering increasingly lucrative contracts and luring increasingly talented players to their shores, they too have begun featuring naturalised citizens in their national teams. One such player, and now arguably China's best player, is veteran number 10 Elkeson. Born in the state of Maranhão, Elkeson came through the youth ranks at Vitória before spending 2 seasons starring for Botafogo. Particularly impressive in his second season, in which he scored 18 goals, Elkason received a call-up from Brazil in 2011, but never got on the pitch. He was linked with a number of European clubs in 2012, but ended up signing for Guangzhou Evergrande, and he has been comfortably one of the standout performers in the Chinese Super League ever since. Elkason left Guangzhou to join Shanghai SIPG in 2016, but he returned to Guangzhou in 2019, where he has since bagged 10 goals in 13 league games. In August 2019, Elkason acquired Chinese citizenship, proudly declaring that "I am Chinese," and a call-up from Marcelo Lippi arrived shortly after. Elkason won 4 caps for China in 2019, scoring 3 goals and becoming the first Chinese international with no Chinese ancestry. Leonardo Coutus, Greece. As you can probably tell from Leonardo Coutus' surname, he does have Greek ancestry. Coutus has a Greek father and a Brazilian mother, and he was born in the state of São Paulo in 1995. His family moved to Greece when Coutus was still a child, and the left-back began his footballing education on the island of Rhodes before kick-starting his professional career on the island of Crete. Whilst obviously eligible to represent either Greece or Brazil, Coutus has been part of the Greek setup since under-19 level. His first senior call-up came in 2018, following a move to Olympiacos, and Coutus has since won 5 caps for the European nation. He probably made a shrewd decision signing with Greece since Brazil have an embarrassment of riches at left back, from Alexandro and Marcelo to Alex Telles and Felipe Luis. Even if you don't watch a great deal of Greek football, there's a decent chance that you have seen a clip of Leonardo Coutus, just not of him actually playing football. That's because in 2015, a video of him being aggressively thrown onto a stretcher and dropped twice on the pitch went viral online. Cesino Bulgaria. Deeply unpopular Bulgarian outfit Ludogorets' policy of signing Brazilian players has seen a few naturalised Brazilians make their debuts for Bulgaria in recent times. Veterans Wanderson and Marcelino have both won a number of caps for Bulgaria, but the Balkan nation's most recent Brazilian debutant is Cesino. A quick and diminutive right-back, Cesino is feisty, good on the ball, and he loves to bomb forward. He joined Ludogorets from Santos in 2015, and almost 5 years on to the day, Bulgaria handed him his international debut against Wales in the most recent set of UEFA Nations League fixtures. In years gone by, Bulgaria wouldn't have been so desperate to call upon the services of an ageing fullback who only moved to Bulgaria at the age of 26, but right now, they'll take any help they can get. Alex, Japan. The only retired player in this 7, I include Alessandro Santos, better known as Alex, primarily for an interesting piece of potential trivia, but I'll come to that in a moment. Despite being born in southern Brazil, Alex moved to Japan at the age of 16, and 3 years later, he signed for J1 League side Shimizu S-Pulse. Following 5 years in Japan, aged 21, Alex obtained Japanese citizenship and was called up to national team action by fellow Brazilian Zico, who managed Japan at the time. A talented and athletic midfielder who scored plenty of goals in Japan, Alex played primarily as a left-back in the national team under Zico, or sometimes in a midfield 3, when the former World Soccer Player of the Year winner opted to play a 3-5-2. Alex was Japan's second Brazilian-born international, following Wagner Lopez, and their 5th full international with no Japanese ancestry overall. Here's where the trivia comes in. Alex won 82 caps for Japan, the first coming in 2002, and the last in 2006. He won an incredible 22 caps in the calendar year of 2004 alone. My question, therefore, and potential bit of trivia, is has any international ever won as many or more caps than Alex during such a short international career? I suspect there may be someone out there, but I can't think of any, so let me know if you can down in the comments. Rodrigo Spain. In amongst some more obscure names, I thought I'd include someone a bit better known, seeing as though he has only recently made a big money move to the Premier League. Former Bolton Wanderers loanee Rodrigo was born in the city of Rio de Janeiro, and he spent a brief period of time in the Flamengo Academy as an 11-year-old whilst his father played for the club. At the age of 14 though, Rodrigo moved to Spain with his family, settling in Galicia and joining the youth ranks of Celta Vigo. 6 goals in 11 games for Spain's under-19 team prompted a move to Real Madrid at the age of 18, where Rodrigo turned out for Los Blancos' C and B teams. Within a year, he signed for Benfica, where he would score 45 goals in 120 games. A pacey and complete centre-forward, Rodrigo isn't always the most prolific, but his teammates adore him. Following appearances for Spain at 4 different youth levels, he made his senior international debut in 2014. His second cap wouldn't arrive for almost 3 years, but the 29-year-old recent Leeds United recruit has now won 23 caps and scored 8 goals for Spain, which is an almost identical record to fellow Brazilian-born Spanish international Diego Costa, who hasn't won an international cap since 2018. Marlos, Ukraine. I previously spoke about Ludogorets' policy of signing Brazilians whilst talking about Cesino, and in many respects, the Bulgarians are just mimicking a tried and tested formula that has paid dividends for Shakhtar Donetsk for a generation. Shakhtar have a love affair with Brazilians, which is as great as Chunks' love affair with Maya Jama, and you should cherish that because that is the most relevant and contemporary joke about a YouTuber that you're ever going to get on this channel. Ukraine have had a good few Brazilian-born internationals in recent years, including 2 current internationals, namely Marlos and Junior Moraes. Both play their club football for Shakhtar, which won't come as any great surprise, and both have been absolute gems for Ukraine's displaced champions. Marlos was actually brought to Ukraine by Metalist in 2012, but he signed for Shakhtar in 2014. A brilliant right-winger who has somehow never been plucked by a team from one of Europe's top 5 leagues, Marlos has always appeared to be very content at Shakhtar, and he was handed Ukrainian citizenship in 2017. Cap's 17 times buys adopted home to date, Marlos is 32 now, and he could well end up retiring in Ukraine as a bona fide Shakhtar legend. So those are just the 7 that I picked out, but equally I could have included the likes of Diego Costa, Jorginho, Pepe, Deco, Kaká, Diego Souza, Guilherme, Ari, Marcelino, Thiago Chonek, Rodrigo Tabata, and many more. Here is the 11 that my colleague Matt came up with on Twitter, a full 11 who all represent different national teams. So thank you to him for the idea, and as I said, make sure to check out some of his work on the Boot Room or give him a follow on Twitter via the handle on screen now. Thank you all for watching, you are all lovely people, and you'll be even lovelier if you like this video, subscribe to HITC Sevens, and turn on notifications. You can also let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, especially on that bit of trivia relating to Alex, and feel free to follow me on either Instagram or Twitter, where the username is simply @HITC Sevens on both platforms.